Today, we're going to get your journey started into scratching. Let's go. Good people, what is happening? Hello and how's it? If we haven't met yet, I'm DJ Shameless, and there's a few things we got to chat about before we start. First, we're going to go through a very brief history lesson, very brief. Then we're going to discuss hardware and software setup, and then we'll start scratching. So the story goes, in the late 70s, in an apartment in New York City, a DJ was practicing and he had his headphones on and he was being called by his mother, but he couldn't hear what she was saying. So he stopped the record playing by using his hand. And by doing that, he noticed that he got a certain sound that came out when he moved his hand back and forth. So after he noticed that sound, he started developing it further and he took it to the park where they would have park jams, and he decided to debut this. That DJ's name was David Guetta. Are you still with me? That was so dry. Imagine that. Everybody would be scratching like this. That DJ's name was Grandmaster Theodore. And when other DJs started figuring out what he was doing, like Cash Money and Jazzy Jeff and Grandmaster Flash, all put their own little spin on it and developed into this new world of scratching. In there is a little bit of a lesson. Yes, I'm going to show you all what you need to know, but put your own little twist, put your own little personality in it. Everybody's different, everybody's got a different personality. Basically, just be your own type of DJ. Yes, it's good to learn from other people and learn as many different techniques from as many different people, and you will find your own style in there somewhere. So I'm going to show you the first scratch you need to learn. It's called the baby scratch, and all the tools that I'm going to use are going to be available for download in the description. It's going to be valid for 7 days, so you better hit that like and subscribe button if you don't want to miss out on those. And if you stick around till the end, I'm going to give you a few more tips on how to train your brain to get ready for the rest of the tutorials coming through. So check it out. We're just going to set you up quickly with your software. Serato DJ, Tractor, Rekordbox, all pretty much works the same. What you want to do first is make sure that you are in relative mode. If you need to know what relative mode is, here's the explanation. Make sure that both sides are in relative mode. Make sure that you turn off any key locking software that you may have active, and then turn off any sync if you have it active. Next, go into your settings, into your audio tab, and make sure that your USB buffer size latency is around 10 milliseconds or even 5 if your laptop can handle it. Then we go to the mixer settings and make sure that your crossfader is set to fast and your up faders are on slow. And depending on what mixer you have, you might want to go into your audio tab, select custom, and adjust your cut lag. Mine is set to 0.3 millimeters. And the cut lag is the space between complete silence and full volume on your crossfader. Now you might also want to change your noise sensitivity on both sides. Mine is sitting on about -48, and that's the explanation of the adjustment threshold. Now for some hardware settings, this mixer has separate adjustments for the line faders, so I like to keep them on smooth, meaning highest volume on the top, and it gradually descends to 0 as you slide down for both line faders. When it comes to choosing a side to scratch on, I'm right-handed, therefore I prefer my stronger, more dominant hand on the crossfader, which means that my less dominant hand will be on the vinyl or jog wheel. For this first lesson, we're not going to use the crossfader, so I urge you to try both hands to see which side you are more comfortable. Just keep in mind that the later tutorials will include the crossfader and a lot of use on the crossfader, so bear that in mind when you're choosing a side. Okay, let's load up our sample. You want to set a cue point to the very beginning of the sample that we're going to be using, and today we're going to be using this sound. Before we start, note that I use 12 o'clock as my main position, and that lines up with the software 12 o'clock position here. Note that the sound starts at the 12 o'clock position and finishes around the 6 o'clock position. When it comes to hand placement on the record side, I like to keep my hand in between the edge and the end of the label about midway. So around about there, at the 9 o'clock position. And also not a 90 degree or completely flat, somewhere around the 35 to 45 degree angle. With the baby scratch, all we're going to do is move the vinyl from the 12 o'clock position around about to the 1 o'clock, just after the 1 o'clock position, and move it back. And it sounds like this. Notice that the faster you move it, the higher the pitch, and the slower you move it, the lower the pitch of the sound. And in between that is a whole range of different sounds. The aim of this exercise is to get the sound back to the 12 o'clock position. If you don't have a motorized platter, you can use the screen, but don't rely on it for future reference. So I'm going to run through a few exercise patterns on a click track, which is available to download in the description below. This click track is set at 90 BPM, which is a nice BPM to start off with. And this click track will help you keep timing. And this is a little trick that I use. I normally get distracted if I hear a good track, so that's why I practice with a click track instead of an actual track. So for this first exercise, I'm going to let the metronome count me in for 4 beats. Then I will do a pattern and I will leave a space, just follow my lead. With these exercises, we're just trying to get a feel of the sound and a feel for your hardware, and trying to get the sound back to the 12 o'clock position, your starting point. There you go, guys. That's called the baby scratch. Keep practicing, and I did tell you that I was going to give you a few extra tips and tricks. So for the upcoming tutorials, we'll definitely be getting into using both hands simultaneously. And a way for you to start retraining your brain to start using your less dominant hand is doing everyday ordinary things that you would normally do with your right hand or your more dominant hand with your other hand. For instance, brushing your teeth, stirring your coffee, washing dishes with your less dominant hand. That's going to help reset your brain and get it ready to start using your less dominant hand more often. Thanks for checking it out, guys. Let me know in the comments if I went too fast, if I went too slow. Did you get any value out of it? Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button if you want to be part of the tutorial series and to be notified first. Peace.